one and all, to the K.O.E Nation for the 2021 Whiskeys of the Year. Welcome, one and all. I am the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, the Lord of the Scottish Highlands, the Prince and Potentate of the political parlance, and one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself, Bill K.O.E. You can find me at K.O.E Nation on YouTube, K.O.E Nation on Twitch, K.O.E Nation on TikTok, folks. And we're going to get into the Whiskeys of the Year. Yes, and eventually, ultimately, we'll get to the Whiskey of the Year. The categories are Tennessee whiskey, Irish whiskey, sour mash, rye whiskey, bourbon whiskey, Scotch whiskey, and the overall whiskey of the year. And we're also going to have, as reference in the down there part, is a link to last year's year in review, because to be frank, a lot of spirits just didn't change from last year, but some of them have, and those are going to be the ones that we highlight this evening. So let's start off with a heavy hitter and one with the biggest amount of change this year, and that is Tennessee whiskey. Yes, folks, Tennessee whiskey. Last year, the winners were Jack Daniel's number 7 as the runner-up, and the big winner was Jack Daniel's single barrel, because we hadn't explored very deeply into the world of whiskey, but we have now made a little deeper exploration, and the runner-up for Tennessee whiskey of the year, yes, George Dickel, 9-year store pick from Spirits World, Omaha. This amazing sour mash Tennessee whiskey, chill filtered, 9-year-old, 51.5% alcohol by volume, 103 proof. Amazing sipper. When we initially got into it, it was a pretty good bottle. When it mellowed in the bottle for a little bit, once it just got past the shoulder, truly, truly ascendant stuff. But the actual winner this year for Tennessee Whiskey of the Year, I have to give to the excellent Uncle Nearest 1856. I have yet to actually fully review this whiskey, but I have actually used it in a video for my toast to Abraham Lincoln. If you're familiar with the Uncle Nearest story, great whiskey with a great story. And I just love everything about this stuff. It tastes great. The backstory about how Uncle Nearest was actually the guy that taught Jack Daniel the Lincoln County process. And this was a person that went from a former slave all the way to the master distiller of a distillery, is an amazing story. And the whiskey ain't bad neither. So Tennessee Whiskey of the Year, Uncle Nearest. So yes. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and say it until I try something better. Uncle Nearest 1856 is now the Tennessee Whiskey of Extreme. Yes, folks. Yes, it was necessary. It needed to happen. So yes, this premium Tennessee whiskey, handmade in Tennessee. Yes, Uncle Nearest, congratulations. You are now the Tennessee Whiskey of Extreme. So now we move on to another category, and that is Irish whiskey, folks. So as you know, last year, the Irish Whiskey of Extreme was none other than Tullamore Dew 12. It very much copies one of my favorite cask aging process in UK whiskeys, whether we're talking about Irish or Scottish. And that's 10 years in a bourbon barrel, 2 years in a sherry cask. And this one just was, mwah. But this year, it is the runner-up, because there is a new Irish Whiskey of Extreme. And it's a video that just dropped the other day, actually. And this was one that I've been looking for some time, and I am glad to finally be able to bring it to you, folks. And that is none other than Jameson triple distilled, triple cask. This stuff is dessert in a glass, amazing product. You really need to give this a shot sometime if you ever get a chance. But don't Oh God, please don't make this a unicorn bottle, please. It's so good. I mean, but yes, this is the new Irish whiskey of extreme. Jameson Triple Triple. Now, if you follow me on the K.O.E Nation at all, you'll know I'm very critical of the Middleton Distillery. I try to be as critical as I can to try and temper Tony's somewhat overabundant enthusiasm. But in this instance, I have to give Middleton its just due, and this particular bottle beats out all Irish whiskeys I have had thus far, folks. So, and I'll reveal what's in my glass a little later. But yes, Jameson Triple Triple, the new Irish whiskey of extreme. Well done, well deserved. So now we move on to the Sour Mash whiskey of the year. Now this one's pretty easy. Like a lot of people say, well, this whiskey's a sour mash. This whiskey's also sour mash. If you actually advertise yourself as a sour mash whiskey on the bottle, you qualify. It's pretty easy. So the runner-up for Sour Mash Whiskey of the Year, again, George Dickel 9-year Sour Mash Tennessee Whiskey. Again, George Dickel makes it as the runner-up. I mean, I got to give it some credit there. Amazing, ascendant stuff, but it didn't quite make it as Sour Mash of the Year because I kind of stumbled on something that I never thought I would, and yes, Elmer T. Lee, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, Single Barrel, Sour Mash. So, as much as, like, again, George Dickel, goodness gracious, great stuff, but unfortunately just this year, it was just always the bridesmaid, never the bride. It is what it is, but it made it onto the list twice, which is really something to behold. So definitely, if you can get your hands on any kind of George Dickel store pick, and apparently 9 years is just their secret sauce. When you get to 9 years, it's just mwah. But Elmer T. Lee from the Buffalo Trace Distillery gets the Sour Mash Whiskey of the Year. This just topped all. So this one, I have to give it the title this year. We'll see if anything can unseat it. In fact, you're here for it, folks. Elmer T. Lee is now the Sour Mash Whiskey of Extreme. Yes, folks. Elmer, well done. Also, check out our Elmer T. Lee versus Blantons video. Excellent stuff. So, yeah, gotta give Elmer its proper and just due. Now, we'll move on to another category, the rye whiskeys. This one's going to be a controversial pick because throughout all of 2021, this was my favorite rye. But if you've been paying attention to the rye tournament, which we're currently doing, the matchups have just started. We put Brickway Rye up against Soldier Valley. Soldier Valley defeated it in the tournament, ultimately. But that's this year. Last year, my personal favorite rye is Brickway Rye Whiskey from La Vista, Nebraska. It's got 17% winter wheat in the mash bill, so it's going to remind you a lot of bourbon. So that's my rye of the year. But folks, it does not unseat the rye of extreme, which remains Mitcher's Rye. So excellent stuff, worth a pour, worth a dram, worth buying a bottle. And it's going to be the whiskey of the year of 2021. But 2022, that whiskey, that rye whiskey of the year, is going to be the winner of the 32 rye tournament. And folks, that's still much more to come. So yes, Mitcher's still maintains its status as the rye whiskey of extreme, but that title is getting challenged. Now, Mitcher's is actually in the 32 rye tournament, so it's also competing for its spot, and that matchup is soon to come, folks. So keep your eyes on this space. But yes, Mitchers, excellent stuff. Goodness gracious. Now, we move on. The one that a lot of you are here for, the bourbon of the year. So we've got not only a bourbon of the year, but also a new crowning of the bourbon of extreme. The former bourbon of extreme, excellent stuff. Colonel E.H. Taylor, you've been unseated by an unlikely challenger, to be frank. But first, let's get to just what I would call the bourbon of the year that I enjoyed this year. And that would be Maker's Mark FAE01. I think this is an excellent runner-up at the very least for any bourbon of the year list. I think this is one that you have to put somewhere on there. The FAE series really impressed a lot of people. And just to me personally, I enjoyed this. And that's going to be what I'm going to call as the bourbon of the year. But that's not quite as big an award that I'm about to hand out. That is the new bourbon of extreme, the one that all bourbon should strive to be. And that is, of course, you should know, Woodford Reserve Double Oak Store Pick for wine, beer, and spirits. This new one that just dropped not too long ago. The toasted marshmallow is a little more muted, and there's definitely more of a coffee flavor. And that is what is in my glass right now, folks. The nose is still very much toasted marshmallow. And it's still on the palate, but now there's this very thick coffee flavor in there as well. So this particular store pick of Woodford Double Oak is the winner of the Sweet 16 Bourbon Tournament, if you don't know. That one blew them all out of the water, and it won among 16 of the great bourbon whiskeys of the world. So the new bourbon of extreme, Woodford Reserve Double Oak Store Pick. Well earned, well deserved though. I remember when I went back to pick one up, one of the folks working there could just kind of sense I was going to oh yeah, maybe limit one per customer. It's like, well, I mean, you want me to come back in with the little fake glasses, nose, and mustache thing, then I mean, yeah, they got a kick out of that and let me walk out with a couple extra bottles. So got to give them props for that as well. If you have a good sense of humor about things, I've found it can make life a lot easier. But yes, Woodford Reserve Double Oak Store Pick, wine, beer, and spirits. I have to give my just due to that particular whiskey. Now, we move on to the Scotch of extreme. Now, the one that I'm going to say for just the year, one of the Scotches of the year, is one that I found out that a lot of you at home are very, very curious about. And it's one that I had no idea there was such an interest in. But I was also kind of curious, and I can see you are too. So the Scotch of the year is a blend, strangely enough, and that is Johnny Walker XR21. It's one that people seem to really be interested in, and I'm just seeing by just what you folks want to see that you're interested in this bottle. So I'm going to have to put this up against some other whiskeys to see how it matches up, to see how it measures up, folks. I think that's only fair. Johnny Walker XR21. But that is not the Scotch of extreme. The previous year's Scotch of extreme is Dulmore 18. And it barely beat out Glenfiddich 21. But a new challenger arose. One of the greatest Scotches I have ever had in all my life. One of the greatest single malts I've ever had in all my life. One of the greatest crowning achievements of casking I have ever had in all my life. And that is none other than the Dalmore Dominion. Yes, folks. First fill Methuselah sherry casking. Oh my God. And like, I found out that that's a big deal. That is actually a very big deal to get the first fill, because this stuff it's just a sherry bomb. It's just beautiful, delightful, just And yes, so the Dalmore Dominion is now, from this point going forward, the Scotch of extreme. So folks, this is, whew. Now I will say, we move on to the whiskey of extreme. This one's going to be a little shocking, a little controversial. Some folks aren't going to quite know what to make of it, but in the end, you'll know it's the right thing. So, the runner-up to the whiskey of the year, for the whiskey of extreme, the whiskey of this particular year, 2021, that we just left, Blanton's Single Barrel Store Pick from Grand Central, Nebraska. You are the runner-up for the whiskey of the year. But there is, and you know, I'm revealing my secret bottle spot yet again. But hey, folks, it's a great spot. It's a great business. Give them a little stop in, and even if they don't have like this kind of stuff there, they always have something neat and something interesting. And like last time I walked in there, they had a Knob Creek 12 and a bunch of other really neat bourbons just sitting there. A bunch of Angel's Envy just sitting there, and retail too. So can't complain. But the whiskey of the year is also a bourbon. And this one is going to really shock some folks because I'm not really that big into this distillery. But this particular one just impressed. Yes, just cakey goodness of Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit single barrel offerings at 101 proof. Yes, a Wild Turkey won whiskey of the year here on the K.O.E. Nation. I never thought I'd live to see the day, and you never thought you would neither, but here we are. And yes, I gotta get a new frame here because needs must. But despite how good of a whiskey this is, it did not unseat the whiskey of extreme. The whiskey of extreme, 2 years running. TX blended whiskey. I did some research into this from Firestone and Robertson Distilling. The blended whiskey, it's 41% ABV, so 82 proof. My dad was actually complaining like, that stuff's got to be watered down. It's got to be like 30. It's got to be like 30 ABV or something. There's no way. And then I looked at it like, no, it's actually slightly higher than like Crown Royal and stuff. So that's how smooth it is. It's actually a blend of bourbon and malt whiskey, and they keep the exact amount pretty close to the chest. So, but this one, as of yet, none have unseated it. And so again, the whiskey of extreme, TX whiskey. Well done. Well done. Now, there you have it, folks. The whiskeys of extreme. Now, I just want to state real quick, there was a couple added entries I just want to throw in. The red wine of the year, Dornfelder has not been unseated as the red wine of extreme, but this one got me a shockingly large amount of views because I was doing the presidential birthday toast series. Some events in my life kind of prevented me from continuing that. I mean, you know, like as you know, there's life is what it is, folks. But one of them that I got in, I thought, God, I'm betting it's going to get like 15 views. Nobody's even going to know. But I was just doing every president, and one of them was President Trump. And so I did a presidential birthday toast to Trump using his Monticello red wine, a Meritage blend. And I upload it. I go to sleep. I wake up the next day. Oh, 2,000 views. Oh, my God. And yeah, it for a couple of days, it went quite a ways. And so, hey, I got to give it credence there. So at least for this year, Trump red wine Monticello. Also, the beer of extreme, the new one, is again a Nebraska release, but this time Prairie Peach Thunderhead Brewing Peach Wheat Ale is the new beer of extreme. Thunderhead Brewing, take a bow. Folks, this has been a year in review at the K.O.E. Nation. As you can see, it's been a great time. It's been a fun time. It's been an excellent time. It's been an enjoyable time. And folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for this particular episode of 2021 Year in Review. I am the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes you the podcast tower, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E. You can find me at K.O.E. Nation on Twitch, K.O.E. Nation on TikTok, K.O.E. Nation on YouTube, folks. And also, one last aside, one last thing that needs to be stated. Tony G, if you disagree with anything on this list, let me know. Let us know in the comments, and Tony, give me a response or a reply if you have any disagreement here whatsoever. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume that once again, you have been perfectly persuaded by your king of extreme. But yes, you can also find Tony G at Tony the Rod 2.0 on TikTok. Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. I hope to find you back here at another year in review. Happy, healthy, much the wiser. We got a lot of fun stuff coming down the pike for 2022. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, folks. You ain't seen nothing yet.
To here and see if it just smooths itself out.
Get back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down. Let you down slow, it's hard to survive. El Dorado. Oh, Lord. Well, let's see how that one went.
Yeah.